Hello and welcome. For those of you who this is the first time, my name is Stanger. For the rest of you, welcome back to this new format of video. This is not part of the gentleman's course. This is a separate type of video in which I'll be discussing other things. Now I do eventually intend to have a lot more of these videos, but this video has been something on my mind a lot. So without further ado, let's get into 3 things you should not do that you may be doing at Mass. Now, this one is the most important. If you take nothing else away from this video, remember this one. Now, this is something which I see all the time, and it makes sense. It makes sense why it came to be. It comes from people who haven't been to Mass a lot, going for the first time, not understanding the background of things, and trying to do the right thing. It really does come, like most of these, from a place of trying to worship well. And so this is one that I see all the time, and it's frustrating for me because I see the goodwill behind it, but I also know that is not what you're supposed to be doing, and that is the hand gestures. There are a lot of hand gestures which you should not be making during Mass. I'm going to specifically start with the Our Father, because the Our Father is where I see this the most. Now, during the Our Father in Mass, the priest will do something along the lines of this. This is because the priest is taking the position of Christ throughout the Mass at different points, but this is a position of the presider, the man presiding over the Mass. Now what you'll notice is there's a lot of people who do something like this, which comes from the priest doing this. This is not the hand position you want to be holding during Mass. This is something that the priest should be holding, not you, because the priest is taking the position of Christ. The priest is the one presiding, and you see an evolution of this is the hand holding that comes from this. So this all comes from this. Instead, during the Our Father, you should be holding your hands like this. Now, another hand gesture I see a lot. Now, this is not just during the Mass. This is generally speaking, but for blessings during the Mass, during praying, especially during the Mass, but anytime there's a blessing, never, and I mean never, should somebody in the congregation, somebody besides the person doing a blessing, be doing any of these things like this or like this, any of those things. And again, they come out of wanting to participate, wanting to contribute. It's a beautiful thing, but they are not what you should be doing. I'll explain why. Now, this extends a bit outside the Mass, but the reason you should not be holding your hands like this or like this, and again, some might say it's just hand gestures. Yes, but actions, because we are both matter and spirit, have some weight to them. And the reason why, when someone is saying a blessing, be this during Mass or being this outside of Mass, whatever it may be, or you should not be doing this or this, the reason for that is because you are not the one conferring the blessing. You are not the one with the power to confer the blessing. You are not the one standing in the place of Christ. This will be the Father. If it's something during Mass, this is always going to be the priest, or the Father in the sense of the household during certain blessings, such as the blessing of the household. Or at any time there is a blessing, basically, do not be doing this or this unless you are the priest or the Father or the one authorized to be giving said blessing. And during the Our Father, please do not be doing this. Also, do not be doing it during the consecration. You're not the one doing the consecration. You should be kneeling. You should be holding your hands like this. At any time, if you don't know what to do with your hands during Mass, it's a safe bet to do this. And without further ado, we're going to move on to the next mistake. Now, this next mistake I see is one that comes from pastoral, mostly. It came from a pastoral place. It's not necessarily a mistake, but rather something which should be done in certain times under certain necessity, which has become commonplace. That is receiving on the hands. Now, there's a lot of debate about this, but it breaks down to the fact that it's receiving on the hands was done out of necessity during times of sickness. During these times, it was not safe to receive on the tongue for different reasons, so the hands were used. But it is an exception. An exception should not be generally held. The more reverent way is to receive kneeling and on the tongue. This one will keep short and sweet. I know there's a lot of debate about it, but the way of reverence is to receive on the tongue. This allows for less mistakes to happen. It allows for more reverence, and there's the kneeling. All of that. Now, there's more that we could go into with communion and everything with communion. I guess I'm just going to title this section Communion. Is you don't want to receive if you're not in a state where you should be receiving. This is not a mistake I can see, obviously, but it is a mistake people do definitely fall into. If you're in a state of sin or just distracted, not in a state where you should be receiving, don't receive. I forgot which pope said it, but there is a statement by one of the popes that goes along the lines of communion should not be received out of habit. Now, if you are receiving the communion out of habit or in a place of sin, consider not, you can still go up, and what you do if you're going up and you're not receiving communion is you place your arms crossed like this, and then the priest, who is distributing the communion will give you a blessing. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing I see in Mass that you should not be doing. This is something that usually happens at the end of Mass. It's usually not something you see during the Mass, but it's still something you should avoid doing, and that is clapping. No clapping should be happening during the Mass for sure. This is not performance. This is a miracle. This is a ritual, and therefore reverence is broken when clapping is being done. The same goes for the end of Mass. This isn't some performance. They aren't actors. This isn't a stage. Well, in a way, it is a performance, but not in that regard. These aren't actors. You're not clapping for them. It's an act of reverence. You need to be acting reverently. It's not reverent to clap. So please, next time a Mass ends, even if the choir killed it, even if the ushers were amazing, even if the altar boys all had their hair perfectly combed, please refrain from the clapping, the applause, the cheering. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there for today, and I will see you all next time. Ciao!